The man who runs America's air war just told the people around the president that the air war cannot finish the job. Not a senator, not a critic, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. Read that again. And here's the sentence I want you to hold on to for the next 8 minutes, okay? He said it 3 weeks before anyone leaked it, out loud on camera at a hearing, and almost nobody noticed. By the end, you will know exactly which sentence and why the number attached to it matters more than the politics. Start with what was reported. On the 7th of August, CNN reported that General Dan Caine has privately told senior advisors to President Trump that the United States needs to find a way out of the war with Iran, that escalating it militarily could backfire. That airstrikes alone are unlikely to deliver what the president wants. One source put it in 4 words: Caine is looking for an off-ramp. And I want to be precise because this matters. That reporting is anonymously sourced. There is no on-the-record statement from Caine confirming any of it. The Jerusalem Post and Haaretz both picked it up from CNN, so hold it firmly, but hold it as reporting, not as a transcript. Who did he raise it with? CIA Director John Ratcliffe, Secretary of State Marco Rubio, Vice President JD Vance, and people inside Central Command. That is not a general grumbling. That is a coordinated conversation among the 4 or 5 people who actually know what the inventory looks like. So here's the question this video answers. When the most informed military officer in the United States says the tool is reaching its limit, is that politics, is that caution, or is that arithmetic? Bring up the calendar, because the sequence is the story. 3 dates in 18 days. Date 1, the 21st of July. Caine and Secretary of War Pete Hegseth sit in front of the Senate Appropriations Committee. Hegseth puts a number on the campaign. Operation Epic Fury has cost $37.5 billion since the 28th of February. CBS reported that sources believe the true figure is higher, and then they ask for more. $67.1 billion for the Pentagon, inside an $87.6 billion package. Look at how that money is split, because this is the part that tells you everything. $21 billion of it is for munitions, not ships, not aircraft, bombs and missiles to replace the ones already used. Hegseth's own words to the committee: they face critical shortfalls that threaten the ability to simply pay service members, rapidly replenish equipment and munitions, and sustain operations without disruption. Now hold that phrase, critical shortfalls, because 4 days later it comes back. And the rest of that request tells the same story in miniature. $2.4 billion for drones, $1.7 billion for readiness, plus classified programs and money for the National Guard. Almost none of it buys new capability. Nearly all of it buys back what 5 months of bombing consumed. Here's the detail I keep returning to. CNN reported that before this war even started, Caine and other military leaders had warned Trump that a long campaign would put pressure on American weapons stockpiles. Well, he is not reacting to a surprise. He's watching a prediction come true on schedule. Date 2, Friday the 24th of July. A White House meeting. Trump is weighing a bigger, more aggressive round of strikes. According to CNN, both Vance and Caine raise concerns. And what does Caine specifically raise? The munitions stockpile. Listen to how he does it, because it is careful. He tells the president that the military can carry out the options available and be successful, then warns him about the implications. Elsewhere, he assures them the U.S. could absolutely wreck them. Do you see what that is? That is not a man saying we cannot win. That is a man saying we cannot keep doing this at this rate. Officials in that room also warned about what Trump had threatened to hit: roads, bridges, power plants, and what that would mean for Iranian civilians, for refugee flows, and for Iranian retaliation against Gulf energy infrastructure. That Friday night, the bombing stopped. After nearly 2 weeks of consecutive nightly strikes, a Defense Department source told CNN operations were on a hold. And here is the honest caveat that most coverage dropped. CNN said plainly it was not clear whether the stockpile concerns caused the pause. I'm not going to tell you it did. Date 3, the 7th of August. The off-ramp story lands. 3 theories. I will give you the strongest version of each. The third is mine. Theory 1, the palace intrigue theory. This is a fight between a president who wants to bomb and a cabinet that does not, and the leak is a weapon in it. It fits. Someone chose to tell CNN. Leaks like this do not fall out of the sky. Theory 2, the diplomacy theory. Nothing is broken. Washington is making room for talks. On the 26th of July, UN envoy Waltz said Trump was giving negotiations some space, and the White House said the president prefers a diplomatic solution while retaining all options. Under this reading, the pause is a gesture, not a symptom. Theory 3 is mine. Call it the arithmetic theory. And here's the analogy that makes it click. Think of a fire hose. A hose has no opinion about the fire. It does not get tired. It does not lose its nerve. But a hose is only as good as the tank behind it. And if you are pumping faster than the tanker refills, the man holding the hose is not being defeatist when he says, "We have about 11 minutes of water left." He is reading a gauge. That is what I think happened here. Caine did not say the mission is wrong. He said Airpower has limits. And remember, he said that in public on the 21st of July at that hearing. His exact words. As you look across the totality of history, Airpower's got limits, and we always have to be mindful of those. That is the sentence I asked you to hold. It came out 3 weeks before the leak, and nobody built a headline on it. And listen to what he added. America's advantage comes when it brings the totality of the diplomatic, informational, and economic instruments and pairs those with the military. When the chairman starts listing the non-military instruments, he is telling you which one has hit its ceiling. Then, at the same hearing, Senator Jack Reed pressed him on whether ground combat could come next. Caine declined to say. Senator Patty Murray said the hearing had not justified the money and that there was no exit strategy on offer. Put it together, and the sentence I would keep is this. He is not asking for a way to lose. He is asking for a way to stop paying for the same result twice. Now, the strongest argument against me at full strength. A chairman warning about stockpiles and escalation risk is not dissent. That is literally the job. The Joint Chiefs exist to tell a president the cost of an option. Second, the sourcing is anonymous, and anonymous sourcing is how factions fight. Third, Caine himself said they could absolutely wreck Iran, which is not the language of a man out of ammunition. And fourth, a supplemental request is what every Pentagon files in every war. $21 billion for munitions may be routine replacement, not a red light. My answer is the timing. Ask for $21 billion in munitions on a Tuesday, warn the president about the munitions stockpile on the Friday, and stop the nightly strikes that same night. Those three things can be a coincidence. They can also be one gauge being read 3 times in 1 week. And now the honest part, after the argument rather than before it. Nothing here says America is losing. The campaign has hit what it aimed at, and the same man raising the alarm says the U.S. could wreck Iran if ordered to. Caine opened that hearing by reading the names of 3 Americans killed in this war and noting more would be released later. This is not a budget abstraction to the people in that room. And the pause is a pause. Strikes can resume any night. So let me give you the thing that would prove me wrong, because I would rather you check this than believe me. Watch the money and the bombs together. If the munitions line in that supplemental moves through Congress, and the strike tempo picks back up roughly in step with it, then the limit was inventory all along, and the arithmetic theory holds. But if heavy strikes resume before any of that money moves, then this was never about the stockpile. It was politics, or it was diplomacy, and my theory should lose. Watch the gauge, not the argument. And if you want to see the other side of that gauge, what Iran is doing while Washington counts its bombs, look at what happened to a tanker in the Strait of Hormuz this weekend.